So when it comes to making money on YouTube, most large creators out there note the potential to make money through sponsorships far outweighs your potential to make money through AdSense in like 99% of cases. But the big question is, how much should you actually be charging for those sponsorships on your YouTube channel? Well, I'll tell you, I've worked with dozens of different influencers to help them make more money through YouTube. And one of the things that I see time and time again is that most of them are severely underpricing themselves when it comes to sponsorships. So in this video, I'm going to break down the best ways for you to price out your sponsorships on YouTube, whether you're a large channel, whether you're a small channel, whether you're somewhere in between. This video is going to show you the best ways to do that step by step so you know exactly what to do and you're not underpricing yourself, because you can be leaving a ton of money on the table. So when it comes to setting your YouTube sponsorship rates, first thing you got to know is that you have options, okay? There's not just kind of one set way that you should be pricing your sponsorships. I'm going to cover two of the most common ways in this video, but there's a ton of different ways you could go about pricing your sponsorships. Now, the CPM model is going to be the most common for a lot of the creators out there, but going above and beyond the CPM model is generally where you're going to find the most skin on the bone. So let's talk about that right now. So with your basic CPM model, this is going to be the easiest way to set your ad rates on YouTube, because what you're going to do is you're going to find a CPM for your channel. You're going to apply that to your channel's views, and that's going to set your rate. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that your sponsorship CPM and your AdSense CPM are two completely different numbers, okay? If you run ads on your YouTube channel, you can go into your AdSense dashboard. You can see your CPM for your entire channel. That stands for cost per mil. That's how much money the sponsors are paying for 1,000 impressions on your YouTube channel. That number is available on your YouTube Studio, but that is different from your sponsorship CPM because you get to set your sponsorship CPM yourself, okay? And in general, you're going to want to set that a bit higher than your AdSense CPM. Now, this is for a number of reasons. When you are selling ad space on your channel, that is a lot more valuable to a sponsor than running just an ad before your channel, because when they have you giving the ad to your audience, it's a lot more native. There's a lot more trust built there, because you've been building trust with your audience for maybe years, okay? And so your kind of voice giving that ad is a lot more valuable to them than just them placing this ad before your video that most people are probably just going to skip over anyway. So now that you're understanding the value that you are providing here, how do we actually price out sponsorships with the CPM model? Well, first off, you've got to set your sponsorship CPM, and this is going to be the CPM that's applied to the average views on your channel that's going to get you to your sponsorship amount. So let's break this down for some context. Let's say you decide to set a $50 CPM for your sponsorships. We'll talk about how to do that in just a little bit, but let's say you set a $50 CPM. Then on average, for every 1,000 views on your channel, you're going to be receiving $50 in that sponsorship. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that this does not imply that you are guaranteeing views on your channel, okay? I don't think you should ever do that. I never do that with my clients. I think that's a stupid thing to do, okay? If a brand wants guaranteed views, tell them to go to Facebook and buy some Facebook ads, okay? Because influencer marketing is not about guaranteed views. It's about the genuine trust factor that that influencer is providing. So don't do that. And now let's dive into how to actually set your CPM sponsorship rate. Well, the CPM sponsorship for your rate really does depend on your individual channel. There's a lot of different factors that go into calculating your sponsorship CPM. This includes your niche. This includes how big your channel is, a bunch of other things that kind of go into your normal AdSense CPM as well. But if you don't want me to take a quick peek at your channel, give you kind of a rough idea of what I would say, definitely feel free to drop a comment below, and I would love to do that, kind of give you a rough estimate of kind of where I would be looking at in terms of a channel CPM. But for kind of rough start for beginners, what I would say is go into your AdSense CPM, find that, multiply by 150%, okay? So if your AdSense CPM is, say, $30, then I would set your sponsorship CPM to about $45 minimum, maybe a little bit higher, maybe $50, round it up a little bit, but I would go at least 50% higher than your AdSense CPM to set your sponsorship CPM, because like I said before, that trust factor is very valuable. The fact that you are giving the sponsorship read yourself is very valuable, so you want to make sure you price that in, and so 50% above your AdSense CPM is usually a good place to start, but we will be raising that over time, and I'll have more on that in just a little bit. So now that you got a rough idea of what your sponsorship CPM is going to be, let's dive into my computer really quick. I'm going to do a quick screen share on a channel and kind of show you how to go from having that CPM calculated, how do you turn that into a rate that you would tell a sponsor? Because again, you're not going to be bringing this CPM rate to your sponsor. You're not going to be guaranteeing them views. You're not going to be doing any of that. You're going to go to the sponsor and say, hey, here is my rate. You're not going to justify it by giving them any of these numbers that we're going to be going through. You just say, this is the rate. If they push back on it, you can do some negotiation, you can walk away, you can do whatever you want, but you don't have to kind of justify this number by the math that we're about to do here. You just give them your number and go from there. All right, so here we are on my good friend Marco's channel, and I'm going to be walking you through exactly how to set your rate based on your sponsorship CPM. So it's actually really easy to do. What you're going to want to do is come into your videos tab here, look at your most recent 10 videos, and add up the amount of views that all of those videos cumulatively have gotten. Then what you're going to do is divide that number by 10. That's going to give you your average views on your last 10 videos. What you're then going to do is apply your CPM, your sponsorship CPM, to that number to arrive at your sponsorship amount. So let's break that down for you right here, right now. So I already did the math on all of this, and if you add up all of the views on Marco's channel over the last 10 videos, we're looking at about 731,000 views. Now, you'll divide that by 10 to get an average of 73,100 views per video. Then from there, you divide that number by 1,000, and then you multiply it by your CPM rate. So for example's sake here, let's say Marco had a sponsorship CPM of $60. What we would then do is multiply that 73.1 number by 60, because you got 73.1 thousand views per video times 60. We're gonna have a total of $4,386 per sponsored video on Marco's channel. Now, in general, that's a really ugly number. I would never advise you telling a sponsor, hey, my rate is $4,386 a video. I think that's not a great idea. I would just round that up to either $4,500 or $5,000, depending on which one you feel more comfortable with. If you feel comfortable at 5, put it to 5. And then if you need to negotiate down later, you can totally do that. But as long as you're confident in the number, that is what is important. So that's all well and good if you're getting 70,000 views a video, but what if you are not quite at that stage yet and you are a newer channel that's not consistently getting tens of thousands of views per video? Well, here comes the second method that you can use, which is kind of the charge what you want method. And it's pretty much as simple as it sounds. Basically, you just set the price that you want to receive for each video and you see what happens, okay? You just set that price, you send it out to sponsors as they come in, as you reach out to them, and you just kind of see how they respond and feel it out. Because again, the worst thing they can say is no. In most cases, a sponsor, if you shoot them an offer that they feel is too high, they're going to try to negotiate you down. But in a lot of cases, they're not just going to walk away from you, okay? So you need to know that you can send them out a little bit higher of a number than you might think you're worth and just kind of see what happens from there. But just because you set a rate that you feel that you're worth, that doesn't necessarily mean anyone's actually going to be willing to pay it. So again, this is sort of a trial and error type approach here, because you set the rate that you think you're worth, and then you just kind of work from there with different sponsors to kind of see where the market shakes out. Now, if you're going to go down this route, I would recommend setting your rate at the upper end of kind of what you are comfortable with. So for example, let's say that you wanted to make $10,000 per month in sponsorship deals on your channel, and let's say you were going to do 4 sponsored videos per month. Well, obviously, doing some quick math there, you're going to have to charge $2,500 per sponsored video in order to hit your goal. So let's say that's the goal. What I would do going into any sponsored negotiation is have that $2,500 number. That's what you're trying to get, but also have a floor that you know, like, okay, I'm never going to go below, say, $1,500 with a sponsor deal. So you've got kind of that wiggle room to work with, where you pitch them $2,500, maybe they come back with $1,800, and then you work your way up to like $2,000 for that sponsored video. See, that's a lot better of an approach to take than just setting your rate at your floor, which is $1,500, and say, well, I'm all right taking $1,500, so I'll just take $1,500, call it a day. Because if you set your rate a little bit higher, again, negotiating down to $2,000, that's $500 more for doing the exact same amount of work. So one thing that I tell my clients, like, the easiest way that I have to make you more money is just by raising your rates, because when you raise those rates, there's no additional work required from you. It's just you do the same thing, but you just get more money for it. So it's kind of rare when opportunities like that do come around, but when they do, you definitely want to capitalize on them and make sure that over time you are raising your rates as your channel does grow. But let's talk raising rates for a second. How do you actually know when to raise your sponsorship rates, and how much should you actually raise them by? Well, in my personal opinion, what I tell my clients to do is every 2 to 3 months, if they have gone 2 to 3 months without getting any pushback on their sponsor rates, I tell them raise your rates by 50%, okay? And oftentimes they do this and they still don't get much pushback at all. And if they do, it's totally fine, because the name of the game with sponsorships is not to get 100% yeses. If you're getting 100% yeses, your rates are way too low, okay? Because you want to be reaching out to a ton of different brands. We're talking dozens of different brands, and just slicing off that top percentage and taking those on as sponsors, okay? Because the top percentage is going to, 1, they're going to be willing to give you more money, and 2, they're going to be a lot less headache to work with, okay? Because the lower down you go in the barrel, the worse quality the sponsorships are in terms of just the hassles that they put you through, and just the minimal amount of money that they're going to be willing to give to you. So you want to reach out to a lot of different brands that you want to work with, slice off that top slice, make a lot of money doing it, and that's really the way you want to go. So that's why you want to be increasing your rates over time, to make sure that you're only getting that top piece of the pie and none of this garbage at the bottom that is just really going to waste your time. Now, one thing that's really important here is that you need to be confident in the rates that you're charging. So say you're currently charging $5,000 for a sponsorship on your channel, and you haven't gotten to know in a while, so you're thinking, okay, maybe I should bump it up 50%. If you're not confident in charging $7,500, don't charge $7,500 yet, because if you can't confidently deliver the price to the brand, then they're not going to be confident in it either. So make sure that you are confident in the price that you're charging. Maybe if you can't go all the way up 50%, go up like 25% just to start, okay? Just continue to raise your rates. If you're continuously getting yeses, you're not charging enough. So you need to make sure that you are increasing those rates over time and slicing off that top piece of the pie. Now that you know how much you should be charging for your YouTube sponsorships, the next thing you should do is watch this video over here where I dive deep into the entire YouTube brand deal process from start to finish, the negotiation, the reaching out, the terms and conditions, all of that good stuff is in this video. So make sure to check that out and I'll see you over there.